Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been following, this is a 1954 body going on a 2006 Envoy chassis. Just doing it here in my garage by myself. In this video we get the box of the truck on and we mock up the Envoy dash into the cab. I'm gonna find a way to mount this fuse block and ECM. Right now I have the ECM, it's just down in there, and the fuse block is sitting up here. I don't know if I want to keep the fuse block up here. It'd definitely be easiest because the other harness from the interior comes in. I wouldn't have to extend any wires. I could make some brackets and kind of put it up above the brake booster there. I definitely have the hood room for it. Just looks shitty. It won't be a truck I'd want to pop the hood on with this massive fuse block sitting there, but it would be practical and easy. I'm okay with having the ECM down on the frame rail. I just gotta, I'll have to build a box for it to keep the elements, the weather out of it. I think I'm gonna start playing around with that right now. Try to get that sorted. Battery, no matter what, is gonna have to get relocated. Battery, probably just gonna put in the box. Ran some big wires. This is idea one. I could build the mount pretty easily off that square tubing, and then later on, when I go to build inner fenders, I could kind of come in and go wide around it and keep it on the engine bay side of the wheel well. I don't know what to do. It's kind of the only wires coming forward now, which is limiting my fuse block. So let's solve that before I start making any brackets. I guess this would be option two, just taking the ECM out from under there. These are the connectors for the ECM. But if I could put my fuse block somewhere around here, I think I'd be happy with that. I think from looks point of view, it might look the best once the cover's on it. I took the bottom piece off here. I know I still need this part no matter what, but this is just massive. So I would trim it around here and then leave those two back holes. I guess it go this way now. It'd be easy to make some mounts for it. And then I can run my big connectors down under the booster, as long as they don't contact the steering or the headers. Left looking back. But I think that's visually the best way to do it. Don't have to extend any wires. Or I did have it more up here, which isn't bad, but just looks like a mess. So I don't want to go any further with the fuse block until the other harness that is going to run through that big hole down there is in place. Make sure I don't have to extend that whole harness. I'm okay with extending a few wire harnesses, but I don't want to extend a 40 wire harness or whatever. So I'm going to change my tune here. As much as I don't want to do this, I'm going to start working on the dash. I'm going to put the HVAC box in and get the Envoy dash frame out of the shed and I guess the cover. I'm going to see how far off it is. I know it's about 5 inches too long on each side. There's lots that has to be cut out, and obviously I want to keep the middle in the middle. And the gauges where they are, so it's going to have to come from the outside in. So I think I'm going to start playing with that, even though I feel like I'm opening a can of worms here that I don't want to do, but I think that's kind of where the point is. I can't start on the box yet because I'm missing box parts. I guess I gotta order that too. And then I could do box, front end, running boards, finish up the outside. But yeah, I think it's time to start on the interior. Check that fitment out. Looks great. Won't be a problem. I just tossed it up there just to see. Yeah, it looks like I'll have to completely lose this side vent on both sides. The front, I'll have to lose this whole cap. I'm gonna get that out of there. Start just throwing the HVAC box in there so I know where things need to go. And then I'm gonna see if I could utilize some of this frame. I don't know, this frame might just be trash. I might have to build a new one. Might be easier, but let's figure it out. Got this guy marked out. Over to this side, all I have to do is take off that bracket there. This side it switches to like aluminum or it goes around the cluster and everything. I'm gonna have to cut a little bit through this vent, but we're gonna make those first cuts and try to actually sit it in there. Dash fits. I don't know, I had to trim it another 10 times. It's in there. Like, it bolts in to the firewall brace. That side I'm gonna have to build some type of mount. I will probably still build some mount to the pillar or something. Fuck, that fits a lot better than I thought. The HVAC box is in its locator parts. I actually got a couple bolts holding it in now too. I'm stoked. That was not as bad as I thought it would be. I think I'm gonna pull the dash frame out and set it into the dash pad and then mark my dash pad. Make some trims on that. The dash is in. Again, not mounted. Rough cut. It's in. It doesn't fit terribly either. Dash is one of those things that I kept the lip, this metal lip around, because I always could weld the old 3100 dash back in, because I was never sure about this, but I like it. Interior is fitting. I am pumped, stoked. Cut the dash, I don't even know, 10 times. It's still like to do a little bit more trimming. I just kind of forced it under the lip and I want to trim this lip more. I always kept the 3100 dash and I was keeping this metal lip so I always could weld it back in if I didn't like this. But I'm loving this, this is awesome. Threw the center console in there, threw a seat in there. Again, the seat could come back more, it's just the power seat's not hooked up. Fits pretty nice. So we got the dash roughly mocked up, and I probably should be just making mounts and working on one thing. But we got running boards and rear fenders in, I have bedsides already. So let's try to assemble a box and make this thing look like a pickup truck. Alright, got everything brought in from outside. No room to work in here, definitely time for a bigger garage. I have the front bed panel, and it is honestly in a lot worse shape than I remember it being in. It might be just worth replacing. It's pretty twisted and there's lots of pinholes and it's pretty pitted. Box sides, this one here from the outside looks pretty good. This one, let's see if I can get an angle of that. It's pretty twisted, but we're gonna use it for mock-up no matter what. I mean, if I could find better ones for a decent price, then I will, but I don't know what the first step is here. I'm gonna just, I think, try to mount that front bed panel, and then just weld some square tubing across just to make it square. Try to get it on the truck to see how far off we are. Look at that, it's got a bed on it. It actually fits pretty decently. I am obviously tight in the front to the front bed panel. That measurement is 50 across, and the back are about 53. I'm hitting the shocks where this angle iron is, so I'm going to notch that out on both sides, try to close up the back, and get that back down to a 50. I might have to do a little bit more trimming, but it does look like I'll clear all suspension and everything. And I mean, worst case, this will be inside of a fender, so if I have to notch something out for the shock or something like that, not the end of the world. But I'm gonna cut those things quick, try to get this down to 50 inches across. So I got it trimmed around the shock, and then it was hitting the back bumper of the Envoy. So I just trimmed, again, this angle iron out of there. I won't be using it anyways. Sitting up there itself, it actually looks decently level. I have no idea if it's the right height or not. We'll figure that out once I get the fenders on. So we're gonna start putting the fenders on. I might just clamp them in place because I know they're going to be too far back based on the wheelbase and I have to move them forward. I don't know. Maybe I'll just mount them where they should be to begin with. Hey, look it's a truck. I'm actually very impressed with the box sides. They are exactly as level as the cab is, and they're just resting on the mounts, the original body mounts of the Envoy. Couldn't be happier with that. I'll probably use the original body bushing down there, and then I'll put a piece of 1x2 across on each side, and I'll do that in 2 or 3 spots. Build the body mounts that way. Like I said from the beginning, the rear fender has to come forward. It's in the original mount holes right now. Obviously it's not centered because I need to figure out my height of my running board compared to my front fender, and right now it's very good. So I can come across the fender, the running board's good, means my box height's good. So once I get the box mounted, then I could re-drill those holes and move the fender forward, which means I have to modify my running board, which honestly I'm just going to take out the front. Like, one thing that always kind of bothered me in these trucks is how rounded these corners are. So if I have to move the whole thing forward, I'm just going to cut into it and kind of mold it around the front fender. They get a lot more of a flush look. And then they make aprons, they call them running board aprons, to fill this gap here. Because my fender would be forward, and because it's a 51 box with a 54 cab, if I bought one I'd have to modify it, so I might as well just build one. Look how good it looks. It's a full-on truck, it's got a box, running boards. Just imagine this thing on the ground, slammed, I'm hoping that they're ready to get it basically running boards in the ground. I'm pretty pumped. That looks good. Got lots done. Lots more to do though. We're gonna wrap up the video here if the bed's sitting on the frame and the dash mocked up. Next video we will be building mounts for the bed and trying to get the bed mounted, and then we'll start working on moving that fender forward and making actually in the wheel well, or the wheel in the wheel well. So come back for that. Thanks for all the love, thanks for all the support.